Hey, Mark's Conte reporting on the Julian Assange. The man, the myth, the legend, Julian Assange. Remember him? I don't want to get too far off of the election stuff. I know it's fun to talk about, but Julian Assange is in a shitload of shit right now in England. Let's talk about it. Welcome, old seekers of knowledge, wise ones seeking the information about what's happening in the world. Enter into this live stream. Bring your awareness, bring your questions, your concerns, your contributions, and most of all, don't be a dick. So let's talk about Julian Assange. What's up, Adam Smith? Good morning. Good afternoon. It's afternoon here in New York time. Woo-wee. Come on in, everybody. Come on in. So this is Julian Assange. We're going to look at some of the stuff that's going on right now with Julian Assange's case. The case of Julian Assange has just begun in England, and it is a case of extradition. We'll go through I have the indictment. We'll look at that again, exactly what he's being charged with, what his accomplishments are, and why he deserves our respect, why this is purely a sham, a politically motivated prosecution of a publisher. Nothing less, nothing more. And why it deserves our attention, because if Julian Assange is, in fact, extradited to the U.S. and found guilty of any crimes, the crimes that he's being accused of, which is publishing, then journalism as we know it, at least that branch of journalism, is over. Because what it effectively does is make journalism illegal, where it makes the solicitation of information basically like hanging a shingle out and saying, I am a publisher, if you have information, send it to me, it makes that action illegal, because that's all Julian Assange is guilty of. Right? He's guilty of doing journalism. So that's what's going on right now. So let's jump right in. See, these are some of the things. You want to start off with what even Trump loves him. Remember Trump?
Do you still love WikiLeaks?
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
WikiLeaks! I love WikiLeaks.
Looks like Bernie got a little bit of a bad deal based on WikiLeaks, right?
They want to distract us from WikiLeaks. It's been amazing what's coming out on WikiLeaks.
And all you have to do is take a look at WikiLeaks and just see what they said about Bernie Sanders.
Even Chelsea Clinton, the WikiLeaks email show, expressed serious concerns about conflicts of interest at the Clinton Foundation and the State Department.
I know there is something having to do with Julian Assange. I've been seeing what's happened with Assange, and that will be a determination, I would imagine, mostly by the Attorney General, who's doing an excellent job. So he'll be making a determination. I know nothing really about him. It's not my deal in life.
Yeah, it's not his deal in life. It was only his deal in life when it was in his best interest, and he was yakking about WikiLeaks. And then when he gets some power, he turns around and says, "I don't know what. Who WikiLeaks? I don't know. Julian Assange. He's not my thing. I don't know." What a liar. So, let's look at some of the things that Julian Assange has done for us. So this was an article authored by Lee Camp in Zero Hedge. I think I just edited it. I just chopped it down to the most important stuff. But listen to these points. I think there's 18 points that Julian Assange helped us understand. 18 events that are so important and so revealing about how dishonest our government really is. All right. Number one, the collateral murder video. You remember that? Showing U.S. aircrew gunning down unarmed Iraqi civilians. They murdered between 12 and 18 innocent people. Two of them were Reuters journalists. 0 people have been arrested for the collateral murders. Yet Julian Assange has been arrested for revealing them. Number 2, the Guantanamo Bay Camp Delta Standard Operations Procedures. showing that this is what he published. Right? Information is sent to him and he pumps it out pretty much as is to the public for our digestion, for our assessment of what's going on. Never has Julian Assange or WikiLeaks had to retract a statement or retract something that they published. They've never been wrong. They're 100% accurate. 100%. Can the Wall Street Journal say that? Can the New York Times say that? New York Times is probably around 8 or 10%. And where are they now? Where's the Wall Street Journal? Where's the New York Times and CNN and MSNBC? Because what Julian Assange allegedly did, is what major publications do every single day. So if you're going to lock up Julian Assange, you have to lock up the New York Times, the Washington Post, every publication, USA Today, whatever, any fucking publication, pick one. They're all guilty of the same thing. They're guilty of journalism. Right. What's up, Sterling Price? How you doing in the comments? Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. This is ultra respect right here for Julian Assange. So number 2, the Guantanamo Bay Camp Delta Standard Operations Procedures showing that many of the prisoners held on U.S. military detention facilities were completely innocent and that some were hidden from Red Cross officials. None of the soldiers torturing innocent people at Gitmo have been arrested, yet Julian Assange has been arrested for revealing it. Number 3, in 2008, the secret Bibles of Scientology, which show that aliens, quote, aliens run the world and aliens are inside all of us. He revealed that shit. Right? Number 4 through 9. WikiLeaks posted videos of Tibetan descendants in China fighting back. Videos which are not allowed to be viewed in China. They revealed the Peru oil scandal and that Russia was spying on its citizens' cell phones, and the Mitten report on toxic dumping in Africa, and the Syria files showing that the inner workings of the Syrian government. WikiLeaks displayed to the global audience a secret Australian Supreme Court gag order that stopped the Australian press from reporting on a huge bribery scandal that involved the central bank and internal leaders. None of the political figures involved in these scandals have gone to prison for participating in them, yet Julian Assange has for revealing them. Now, all we think about with Julian Assange is we think about WikiLeaks and the DNC dumps, but we don't think about all this other stuff he's done. He's not being tried, or he's being tried for this one right here, the number 1, the collateral murder videos where allegedly he was conspiring with Chelsea Manning, who's still in jail right now, in solitary confinement for nothing, for not testifying against Julian Assange, basically for not saying that Julian Assange was involved in the hack. Chelsea Manning didn't hack, just took the information as a military whatever. She was an informant. He was an informant. Bradley Manning, Private Bradley Manning was in the military and got access to the information and dumped it to WikiLeaks. That is a crime. That is that is punishable by up to 30 years, which Chelsea Manning did go to jail and the sentence was commuted by the one Barack Obama. So Chelsea Manning sat in jail for 7 years. Sentence was commuted, and then all of a sudden, Julian Assange is guilty. They want to try Julian Assange to keep him out of this election cycle, 2020, and he's basically. And then Chelsea Manning gets rushed off to jail to testify against Assange. Very sad story. Right? So these are all the things that Assange has done for us besides that action, which was number 1. So look at number 10. The Iraq war logs. Well, that's kind of number 1 and number 10. Hundreds of thousands of documents were related to the Americans' illegal invasion of Iraq. That's part of number 1 as well. So far, no one committing the war crimes evident in the Iraq war logs has been locked up, yet Julian Assange has been locked up for revealing it, for publishing it. I like to change that word, publishing it. Number 11, WikiLeaks showed us the highly secretive Bilderberg Group meeting reports. The Bilderberg, that's the meeting where all the billionaires get together and suck each other's, you know what. Right? They do it. That's what they do. That's what the Bilderberg meeting is. It's a circle jerk for billionaires. The Bilderberg Group is made up of powerful men and women who get together and decide how to rule over us. Right? Nobody from Bilderberg Group is being tortured in solitary confinement except Julian Assange is for talking about it, for publishing it. Number 12, the Barclays Bank tax avoidance scheme netted Barclays £1 billion a year, while it was ordered to pay £500 million in lost taxes. No one was arrested for that theft from citizens, yet Julian Assange was for publishing it. The banks, right? A bank steals $1 billion a year and then gets caught for how many years? Who the hell knows? And then they pay $500 million in lost taxes as like a fine. So you steal $10 billion, you get and you have to pay back $500 million. This is all the things that Julian Assange showed us. Number 13. The Afghan War Diaries, consisting of 92,000 documents related to our destruction of Afghanistan. They detail friendly fire incidences and civilian casualties. According to WikiLeaks, the diary showed that when reporting their own activities, U.S. units are inclined to classify civilian kills as insurgent kills, falsifying documents. U.S. units are inclined to classify civilian kills as insurgent kills. Wow. Downplaying the number of people killed or otherwise make excuses for themselves. That's crazy, right? You're shooting down civilians, probably with their hands up, as we saw in that video. I don't want to play the video because you get struck for that. But that collateral video is so clear where the helicopter just hovers over a bunch of unarmed people. They gun them down for no apparent reason. They weren't armed. They weren't insurgents. They were basically journalists. Two of them were journalists fleeing the scene. They were running away from the gunfire, and they were killed for that. 14. WikiLeaks also unveiled hundreds of thousands of U.S. State Department cables that showed more clearly than ever how our secretive government rules its empire with little to no input from the American people. That should piss you off right there. Among many other things, the cables revealed Secretary of State Hillary Clinton ordering diplomats to spy on French, British, Russian, and Chinese delegates at the UN Security Council. Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, ordering spying. It also shows that the Arab nations urged the U.S. to strike Iran and much more. I wonder why Hillary Clinton doesn't like them, right? The Stratford emails. This was millions of emails that showed how a private intelligence agency was used by its U.S. corporate and government clients to target activists and protesters. No one at the Stratford is currently locked away, but Julian Assange is for publishing the truth. Got a few more. So you see what the point is? You see what the point is? That this guy's a hero. This guy's a legend. This guy's probably, arguably the greatest publisher who ever lived. Revealing all this stuff. This is what publishing is. It's telling people something that they didn't know. Right? And in this case, it's something that, that makes our world a safer, more integral place. And for that, you're prosecuted. You're prosecuted. That's what he's being prosecuted for. None of these specifically, except the first one, where he allegedly conspired with Chelsea Manning, and Chelsea Manning is on the record saying he didn't tell me what to do. I did it because I thought it was the right thing to do. Number 16, the trade deals, the TPP, TISA, and TTIP. All three amount to one of the largest attempts at corporate takeovers ever conceived. The TPP was something that originally Bernie Sanders had said that Barack Obama was conspiring with corporations to be able to rule over, to basically set up a court and a system of accountability that was above the United States government, that was outside of U.S. jurisdiction, where corporations can screw anybody they want, and then they can go to their own courts and solve the problem in secrecy. It's just, I mean, and Bernie Sanders was the one to blow the whistle on it, and then Trump went along with it because he said it was a bad trade deal. It wasn't a trade deal at all. It was a rights deal. It was a rights grab, and Julian Assange was instrumental in showing us what was in the TPP because nobody really knew. So that was brilliant as well. Government officials and corporate lawyers and lobbyists wrote every word in private. Not even Congress saw the TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, until very late in the process. The only organization to show the American and European citizens some of those documents before they were made into law was WikiLeaks. He's in jail. The DNC emails. This is the one that he's so famous for. This is the one that everybody, the mainstream media would like you to think is the reason he's sitting in jail, but it's actually not. There's nothing in the indictment. We'll look at the indictment in a second. There's nothing in that indictment that says the DNC emails had anything whatsoever to do with the reason he's sitting in jail. The DNC emails. The Democratic National Committee's emails gave us proof concerning just how rigged the Democratic primaries really are. It's so true. The WikiLeaks dumps were the reason we knew that conclusively that the Democratic National Committee, the Democrats were cheating Bernie Sanders. They were cheating. We know it. They were colluding with the mainstream media. They were passing questions to Hillary Clinton while they were stabbing Bernie Sanders in the back. They were money laundering up and down the ticket. Right? They were the destruction of they revealed in some part the destruction of the DNC emails. The idea that somehow Russia was behind the whole thing, which there's no evidence until they actually passed it on to CrowdStrike over there. There was no evidence or any indication that Russia had anything to do with it. All this stuff was revealed. They proved the media was in bed with Hillary Clinton's campaign. They even showed that Obama's entire first-term cabinet was selected by Citibank. That's not very different than Trump. Trump has the same swamp creatures as Obama did. Obama, even Bush. Bush had a Goldman Sachs Secretary of Treasury, which was Henry Paulson. And then Obama got Eric Geithner, who was also a Goldman Sachs guy. And Trump has Steve Mnuchin. There's no difference. There's no difference. Trump is Trump. Trump is Obama is Bush. They're all the same at this point. After being sued over this matter, the DNC lawyers admitted in court that the DNC has no obligation to have a fair primary election. That was Julian Assange who pushed that and made us aware of it. It's their right to rig it, according to the DNC. Amazing, right? And finally, in 2017, WikiLeaks posted a trove of CIA documents called Vault 7. It detailed their capacities, including remotely taking over cars, smart TVs, web browsers, and smartphones. All, of course, without your consent. The Vault 7 trove. He's sitting in jail, and the criminals, the people that are doing this stuff, the people that are sucking our tax money, the CIA, the FBI, all these intelligence, quote, intelligence agencies are doing this stuff in our name, and Julian Assange is sitting in jail for revealing it. What's up in the chat? Don't be a dick. Thank you for not being a dick. What's up, Sterling Price? Bernie will have the same creatures. Justify that Trump. Most of all Vault 7 and 8 dumps pissed off the intelligence agencies. It did. What else? What else? Man cannot defeat the beast. It's so futile. So thanks for following along. You'd follow Marcus too, Lord Rothschild. Once you hear him talk sexy. I'm a very sexy man. I'm a very sexy man. How many people got watching? All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. We're talking about Julian Assange today and the fact that He is in a kangaroo court in England right now in Belmarsh Prison. And those are some of his achievements. That's who Julian Assange is. And we just saw what Trump said about him. If you came in late, we'll watch that one again. But let's watch it now. Let's watch Donald Trump. Let's watch the magic, the mystery, the mania of Donald Trump.
Mr. President, do you still love WikiLeaks?
I know nothing about WikiLeaks.
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. Do you?
WikiLeaks! WikiLeaks! I love WikiLeaks.
These WikiLeaks, as confirmed just today by WikiLeaks.
It's been amazing what's coming out on WikiLeaks. They want to distract us from WikiLeaks.
The wonder of WikiLeaks. Boy, that WikiLeaks has done a job on her, hasn't it? We've learned so much from WikiLeaks. Oh, we love WikiLeaks. Boy, they have really WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks.
I mean, this WikiLeaks is fascinating. The WikiLeaks revelations. This WikiLeaks is like a treasure trove.
WikiLeaks, right?
WikiLeaks.
And you know, as I was getting off the plane, they were just announcing new WikiLeaks, and I wanted to stay there, but I didn't want to keep you waiting. I love reading those WikiLeaks.
It's WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks. It just came out on WikiLeaks.
It's arguable that Donald Trump was in fact elected on the back of the WikiLeaks revelations. Now we can argue that, but I think it's inescapable that the revelations that came out because of Assange allowed people to see the corruption in the DNC and by default refused to vote for Hillary Clinton and sided with this guy. Trump said, at least Trump's a little better. And then when he got in, again, this is what he said. This is what he said in his own words.
Mr. President, do you still love WikiLeaks?
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing. And I know there is something having to do with Julian Assange. I've been seeing what's happened with Assange, and that will be a determination, I would imagine, mostly by the Attorney General, who's doing an excellent job. So he'll be making a determination. I know nothing really about him. It's not my deal in life.
What would you like to see happen? What punishment?
I don't really have any opinion. I know the Attorney General will be involved in that, and he'll make a decision. Okay?
Wow. That's breathtaking. I mean, that is really breathtaking. Trump was running around enjoying the WikiLeaks, enjoying the free press, and then once in power, he just turned his back on it. He just I guess, you got to take the money, man. That's what he does, right? That's who Trump is right there. So these are the I got a great video. I'm saving this one. This is the extradition hearing today, and we'll look at what the people closest to Assange have said, are saying. They were in the courtroom. So we'll look at that video in a second. I just want to play this. I want to look at this. This is the actual indictment in U.S. Court District 4, the Eastern District of Virginia, where, by the way, nobody ever wins. You don't win. It's a kangaroo court. So these are the 18 counts. 18 counts of something. All right, let's look. So this is what they're accusing Assange of being. Julian Assange is the public face of WikiLeaks, founder of WikiLeaks. Assange encouraged sources to circumvent legal safeguards on information, provide that protected information to WikiLeaks for public dissemination, and continue the pattern of illegally procuring and providing protected information to WikiLeaks for distribution to the public. There is those are not crimes. Those are not crimes at all. That's publishing information. He didn't circumvent legal safeguards on information. He didn't, look, again, it's the nature of a publication. I do it right here. Look down below. You see that? Where it says Intel drop? That's technically what Julian Assange is doing. Whether it's exaggerated, hey, send me information. I don't say it all the time, but my connection is right there on every video. Every studio video I do, it says it right there. email intel drop. Am I also a criminal? Am I facing criminal charges for is that solicitation? Because that's all they're saying he did. Right? Listen with those ears. Listen through that scope, and you'll understand why this is it's a frivolous suit. It's frivolous. The charges are frivolous because he's a publisher doing publishing material. You follow? So, number two, Assange and WikiLeaks have repeatedly sought, obtained, and disseminated information that the U.S. government classified due to the serious risk an unauthorized closure could harm the national security of the United States. That's not our fucking problem. That's your problem. U.S. military bullshit, shooting people. That's your problem. If someone dumps the information on a publisher, that's your fucking problem. That's the way the rules are. They're trying to change. That's the point. They're trying to change the rules, trying to make journalism illegal. WikiLeaks website explicitly solicited, censored, otherwise restricted until December 10th classified materials. There's no crime. That's not a crime. If someone gives a publisher classified information, they have a right to disseminate it as long as it's in the public interest. Is this in the public interest? Of course it is. Stand by. So, number three, Assange has personally and publicly promoted WikiLeaks to encourage those with access to protected information, including classified information, to provide it to WikiLeaks for public disclosure. That no different than that. That's whenever you see in a newspaper it says tips, send us tips. You have a news tip, send us a news tip. Same thing. There's no difference. There's no difference whatsoever in that. Further encourage the disclosure of protected information, including classified information. The WikiLeaks website posted a detailed list of most wanted leaks of 2009. So, where's the crime? Organized by, you see the point, and on it goes. The only one that is slightly fudged to indicate an actual crime is the number 18, which was originally the only one, and then they upped all of these other ones, added all these other conspiracies to commit journalism and make journalism illegal after the fact. Conspiracy to commit computer intrusion. That's the only one where, I'm not going to read it, but in a nutshell, the allegation is that Julian Assange, Chelsea Manning had access to something and was having trouble fully accessing the information, didn't know the full password of some sort, and Manning apparently asked Assange for assistance in cracking a possible password. Now, that's not technically illegal, but certainly Assange didn't have access to the Pentagon site. That was Chelsea Manning doing it by herself, and she had asked Assange for assistance in cracking a code, which Julian Assange was not able to do. Is that conspiracy? No, it's not at all. It's just, again, it's called working with a source. In the little experience that I have as a journalist, right? People do it all the time to me. I have many sources that I don't talk about. I have a lot of people that watch this show and have given me information, and nobody knows who the fuck they are, who they're connected to. I never reveal that source. I only reveal idiots that are foolish morons, and you expose those idiots like the conspiracy theorists, the LARPers, the creeps. Those are the people you talk about and throw them under the bus. But the people that give you reliable information under the condition of anonymity, you support that. That's called working with a source. If someone says, "Hey, would you like this information?" I'll say, "Yeah, it's good. I think it's valuable information." Or I'll say, "It's not really newsable, and see if you can get me something juicier or something more in depth, and then I'll consider it." Right? In my little way, that's what I do. Right? That's called working with a source. And that's precisely what Count 18 talks about, is that Julian Assange was working with Chelsea Manning, a source. The publisher was working with the source to get the information for public dissemination, not for personal gain, not to make $1 million, not to overthrow a government, but simply to publish the truth. The truth is the truth. Right? Publishing the truth so that people could see it. That's what journalism should be. Although the mainstream media is, it's now everything is yellow journalism. It's all tainted for public for corporate interest. But certainly for me it is. For me, what I perceive as the truth is what I talk about. Whether you like it or not, nobody's forcing you to watch this channel. So I talk about what I think is the truth. And what I'm saying right now is my interpretation of the truth. Does that make sense? How we doing, man? How we doing in the chat? What's going on, man? Any questions, comments? Bradley Manning is a man. He was a man. Until you remove your ball set. When you remove your rod and cones, you're no longer a man. That's not a manly thing to do, to remove your rods and cones. But he certainly did. Unless it's a fake and on source. No, right. You throw those under the bus. Don't kill the messenger, Sterling Price. Exactly. Thank you. Manning was given clemency. He was. Yep. By Barack Obama. A little Democrat, Hillary Clinton, wanted to carpet bomb Julian. Yeah. That's right. Raconfi. That's right. Hillary Clinton's on the record saying, just kill him. A lot of politicians are on the record saying, kill him. That he's a spy, a terrorist. Right? Certainly didn't hurt Trump. It didn't. No, Trump was elevated by it. Trump was elevated by the WikiLeaks. That's clear. That is clear, right? Trump, in his own words, Trump was elevated by WikiLeaks. You see him bragging about it. He loved it. So here's some. Let's watch this video. So this is the inside scoop. These are the guys outside of the court. This is the WikiLeaks publisher is standing behind them. This guy's a publisher of WikiLeaks. Let's listen.
I knew it.
Well, yeah. I mean, because I saw them first day coming in, and I heard them say we're from the other thing is
essentially this.
There we go.
Am I in the way?
Very welcome, everybody. Just going to have a quick statement about what the Don't Extradite Assange campaign and WikiLeaks have thought about today's proceedings. Just to frame it for you, I would say that the entire day today was an argument between RQC, Ed Fitzgerald, and theirs, James Lewis, and the argument was essentially this. Do individuals have the right to challenge their extradition under this treaty, or do they have no rights to do so? Our side says that they do, that there is a political exemption for people who are charged with extradition. Their side says there is nothing in law which can stop you being extradited. So we'll just sort of flesh out some of that argument for you now. First, Kristen Harvardson, Editor-in-Chief of WikiLeaks.
So what I had said earlier is the basis of the sham. The whole thing is a sham. But now you see the UK courts rigging it even more against Julian Assange, not considering the law. That's why it's a kangaroo court. They're just working in cahoots with the U.S. government, and that's what these guys are explaining. They're lawyers and they're publishers and they're on the scene, and they're basically saying that Julian Assange is not being given a fair trial. That's not fair at all.
Joseph.
So, in court today, the magistrate asked Julian if he was okay to concentrate, and he came back saying that he had as much interaction in this procedure as if he were at Wimbledon. He pointed out that there are unnamed embassy officials in the courtroom who have 100 times more access to their lawyers than he does. That it's not balanced. It's worth noting that in the courtroom, in fact, earlier today during one of the one of the prosecution's arguments, they referred to the Dwyer statement. Dwyer is, in fact, the Eastern District of Virginia's official who, in 2018, accidentally exposed the indictment against Assange. And this was sort of, it went back and forth, and they spoke about whether Assange could actually sit with his legal team, which is what's happening on the prosecution side. That will be reviewed this evening, and they'll make a decision on that in the morning. I'll hand over to Kristen.
So you see that that's one of the, I guess, the editors or publishers of WikiLeaks. You can see that they're obviously shaken by it because, I mean, if I were the publisher of the New York Times or Wall Street Journal, I would be scared too, right? Shouldn't you be? Right? As far as Assange isn't even a U.S. citizen, that doesn't matter. There's laws. There's international laws. The U.S. A country can't extradite someone for a political crime, for crimes of a political nature or accusations of a political nature. They're not actual crimes, right? That's, you know, so there are laws and there are rules and there are the UN has stepped in to say that Assange is being tortured in England in Belmarsh prison. Why is a publisher, a guy who published information in a maximum security prison, and why is he not allowed to see his lawyers in court? And why is he put behind bulletproof glass? And why is he being tortured? On and on and on. Doesn't make sense.
Yes, as Joseph said, it's quite extraordinary.
It doesn't matter that he's not a U.S. citizen, is what I wanted to say. It doesn't matter. Once you're here in the United States, if they extradite him here, you have to try him on U.S. law. It's not that you can't just say, "Oh, he's not American, throw him in fucking jail for the rest of his life." That's a banana republic. That's insanity. Once you're here, once Julian Assange steps foot on U.S. soil, he's officially allowed to be protected by the laws of the land. And the laws of the land say that what he did was journalism. Journalism, right? Not espionage. So that's how the law works, for your information.
To hear the argument here that from the judge that she does not feel actually to have the authority to allow Julian to sit with his lawyers in the courtroom. And she actually asked the prosecution what they thought about it, and they said, well, we are neutral in this. And actually, in other cases, it has been known that defendants have been sitting with their lawyers. But still, the judge seemed to be reluctant to allow this to happen for security concerns. And of course, Julian's lawyers pointed out, we're not talking about a violent individual here. We're talking about an intellectual, a peaceful man. Of course, he should be sitting with his lawyers, not behind bulletproof glass, with hard of hearing and unable to communicate with his lawyer. It's absurd. What sticks with me after today, this afternoon, when the prosecution were claiming actually that the international treaty, or the bilateral treaty, the extradition treaty, did not give Julian Assange any right. Not any right at all. And they dismissed all relevances to the UN treaties, Interpol treaties, and actually the European Convention of Human Rights. They were basically dismissing any arguments of right from the international communities or the international law that didn't apply to this court. And I'm amazed that the prosecution, acting on behalf of the United States, but supplied by the Crown Prosecution Service, is basically saying that this country is alone. And they were saying, well, what about the extradition treaty, which says that a political offense is a non-extraditable offense? Well, they say, well, firstly, it is not a political offense under our interpretation, and it's not up to you, Judge, to actually interpret it. But even if it was so, it wouldn't apply. So that's extraordinary. It just amplified my my position and my feeling that this is a very unjust process, and it would be very hard to see any justice done in this court.
Are you arguing that?
They're totally ignoring everything his legal team is throwing at them. They're putting him behind bulletproof glass where he can't talk to his attorneys. Very sad.
That's a quick question. Are you arguing that Assange is not receiving a fair hearing?
You just said that. Were you paying attention, lady?
Julian is not receiving a fair hearing. To start with, he can hardly and barely hear what's going on in the courtroom. He cannot communicate with his lawyers without being observed and overheard by officials from the State Department, from the embassy, and from the Eastern District Court of Virginia. So how can he actually have a fair opportunity? And he, as he said, when he was attempting to communicate with the judge, there's been enough spying on the communication between me and my lawyers. So this is unfair all the way through.
Chris, this is Dave. Sorry, can we ask you another question if that's all right?
Sure.
Less statements, question and answer. This is day 3 of the hearing. Are you aware of why this wasn't raised earlier, perhaps by his lawyers? The judge made it clear that generally someone in Mr. Assange's position will have
Can't hear the question.
these sorts of issues raised by his lawyers. Why did it wait until the end of day 3, given that the audio issues have been a problem for a long time?
This was raised before this hearing. There was a formal request that Julian could sit with his lawyers in the courtroom. That was denied by this judge. Of course, at that moment, it wasn't perceived how impossible the situation is in the courtroom, where it's hard to hear. It's very intimidating circumstances. It's hard to communicate with the lawyers, which is totally such a disparity when you think of the fact that behind the QC working on behalf of the Americans are 3 representatives from the State Department, the Embassy of the United States, and from the Justice Department. Okay, I mean, there's a point worth adding to that. For those of you who've been attending the preliminary hearings actually at Westminster, the physical layout of this court is quite different. In that court, Julian was certainly still behind a glass partition, but he was at the side of the court where you'd normally expect a defendant to be. In this court, he's at the back of the court. He's the only person in the court who is looking at the back of everybody's head except the judge, and he must be a good 30 or 40 feet further away from his counsel and completely incommunicado. So you might want to bear that in mind when you're looking at the physical layout of the court. But we're very lucky.
And then Rupley's crashed. Hold on a second.
All of us here, given what we've seen today, we would echo some of the points made by the previous speakers that this is worrying. We've partaken in previous monitoring exercises in other courtrooms, and we haven't seen a scenario like this where the defendant is so isolated in court proceedings, and that would give us grave cause for concern.
Yeah, I think the point has to be made that while we've recently seen the UK leave opposing the truth, we have seen
Julian Assange's father.
Julian's father to say a few words, and then colleagues from the RSF.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. There's 3 matters that I would like to address. My own country declares constantly that they will expect from the United Kingdom due process. Due process requires that each side be equally armed. In the case, the hearing that we have seen today, Julian is in a glass box, cannot communicate with his lawyers. The other side, the prosecutor, has sitting behind him 3 lawyers from the United States Justice Department who can easily and do constantly communicate with the prosecutor from the Crown Prosecuting Service. That's one. The other one, after these 3 days, this has an appearance to me of a fraud upon the courts. The prosecutor advances nothing of substance and just attempts to reduce Julian's magnificent efforts to a banal criminality.
Well said.
This is wrong. And the third item is that it's now, I'll start again. The third item is 10 days solitary confinement in Wadsworth Prison, 18 months house arrest in Norwich, 7.5 years in the embassy, 10 months in Belmarsh maximum security, 1 year for an appeal in future, another appeal to the Supreme Court, 2 years, 13 years arbitrary detention for a man who hasn't committed a crime. So I'd like you all to advance the case that Julian get bail immediately. Thank you.
Well said.
I'm here from Reporters Without Borders. We've been monitoring all week. Today we were again concerned about Mr. Assange's well-being following the reports of mistreatment at Belmarsh Prison yesterday, and again today he did not look well. At times was clearly not able to properly follow proceedings. And frankly, the treatment is dehumanizing. The fact that he is an afterthought almost sometimes. I think twice now this week, proceedings have started without a realization that he was not even yet present. Frankly, it's absurd when we look internationally in other countries. Sometimes we see, in countries like Azerbaijan, for example, I've witnessed people being held in cages when they've been charged with things on political bases as if they're violent criminals. Shocking to see that in the UK, and it's also shocking that we are numb to it here. He is not a violent person. He should be able to sit near his lawyers and be able to fully follow what's going on and confer with his legal team. Today, in terms of the substance, we were also concerned to see the prosecution trying to argue that international law doesn't apply here and that somehow the UK's treaties actually mean very little at all. International law, international human rights law does apply in this case as it applies everywhere.
Sexy lawyer.
And we hope that justice will prevail in this case. I'll repeat our broader point as well about we call again for the UK to not comply with this extradition request, to not send him to the United States, where he will be prosecuted harshly and face politically motivated charges there under the very worrying Espionage Act. And we call again for his immediate release.
Thank you very much for your input. I think there's one more.
Rebecca Vincent.
No, that's it. So that's the word out of the horse's mouth, right? And those are the people closest to Assange. Let's see what this says. The BBC is reporting Julian Assange phoned the White House to warn of risk to lives. Now this is coming out in the court. They're saying WikiLeaks co-founder Julian Assange tried to phone the White House to warn them unredacted files are about to be published online. A court has heard. Well, that's really interesting. So how could the U.S. government turn around and say that he endangered people's lives by revealing classified information when he gave the White House a heads up? Get you guys out of danger because we're about to reveal some stuff. It's just interesting. I don't know if it's true. Who the hell knows if it's true? But it's the BBC, right? The BBC is full of shit. Mr. Assange is fighting extradition to the U.S. to face trial over the leaking of classified stuff. It's an interesting tidbit. Julian Assange asks to sit with lawyers for extradition case. His inside people just told us that he's not allowed to sit with his lawyers. There was a big shindig outside of the courthouse. So that's arguments going on. You know. You want to watch The Traitor one more time? Let's watch The Traitor. Traitor Trump one more time. And you say, okay, what would Bernie do? I don't know. Bernie's not in charge right now. Bernie Sanders is not in charge, but it's certainly, I would imagine that Assange would have gotten the same treatment that Barack Obama gave him, which Barack Obama viewed it. Barack Obama's, cabinet viewed it and said it's not a crime, it's journalism, and they walked away from it. And only when Trump and Mike Pompeo and Mnuchin and the rest of the creeps got in power did they decide to prosecute Assange. This wasn't on the table until Trump took power. Just keep in mind, even though it doesn't come out of Trump's mouth, it certainly is happening under his watch.
WikiLeaks! WikiLeaks! I love WikiLeaks. These WikiLeaks, as confirmed just today by WikiLeaks.
It's been amazing what's coming out on WikiLeaks. They want to distract us from WikiLeaks.
The wonder of WikiLeaks. Boy, that WikiLeaks has done a job on her, hasn't it? We've learned so much from WikiLeaks. Oh, we love WikiLeaks. Boy, they have really WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks. I mean, this WikiLeaks is fascinating. The WikiLeaks revelations. This WikiLeaks is like a treasure trove. WikiLeaks, right?
It's right up there with lock her up and build a wall and drain the swamp. It's totally full of shit, right? It's totally full of shit.
WikiLeaks. It just came out on WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks.
And then he says this.
Mr. President, do you still love WikiLeaks?
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing. That's Trump's answer. So again, here's the parade of things that Julian Assange has shown us: collateral murder videos, the Guantanamo Bay, Delta standard operating procedures. He revealed the Scientology Bible, the evidence that showed Tibetan descendants were fighting back. They didn't just walk away, as the Chinese had said. The Iraq war logs, the Bilderberg Group meeting files, Barclay bank tax avoidance scam, Afghan war diaries, right? U.S. Department cables, showing Hillary Clinton ordered diplomats to spy on France, Britain, Russia, China. The Stratford emails, evidence of the TPP being totally against the people, the DNC emails, the Vault 7. That's who this guy is, man. That's who Julian Assange is. So there you have it. There's just an update on Assange. Hopefully can he get a fair hearing in the United States? Is it possible that Julian Assange could get a fair hearing in the United States? It's really, how ridiculous to think that he could. How could he possibly get a fair hearing? If the essence of the indictment is fake, is false, is frivolous, it's making up a crime where there is none. Right? It's moving the goalpost. It's saying that you committed a crime that wasn't a crime before you committed it. And we're changing the rules after the fact, and we're postmarking the rules to make you guilty. And then what are the ramifications if this thing sticks, right? Is it just to torture Assange, as his father said? After 13 years, he'll get to the U.S. and then it'll be a shit court, and it won't. But they would have already made him suffer. That is the point. He would have suffered 7 years in the Ecuador embassy, and another how many years, sitting in Belmarsh prison in maximum security, being tortured. By the time he gets out, he's an empty shell. It's crazy justice right now, So it is scary times, Agro One. People need to wake up to it, right? It seems like we're all on the same page. I've been talking about Bernie Sanders every goddamn day, and I will until after the Super Tuesday. We're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep making people aware of what is happening in your great nation. Right? Stick with Trump, right? You want. People say, "Oh, drain the swamp, deep state." Yeah, but look what they're doing to this guy, right? He's in power right now. Right? Trump is in power, and Julian Assange is getting totally fucked right now. Right? I will vote for Trump. He if he frees Julian Assange. Well, that's not going to happen. I believe that Assange has more dirt on Obama and Hillary, as well as many others. Who cares, right? But someone also said that if he had the dirt on Trump, he would have dumped it. I agree with that. I don't think Trump is guilty of any of this shenanigans. I mean, he obviously is the executive, the executive over the FBI and CIA. So whatever the CIA is doing, it is on Trump's watch. We just don't know about it yet. We don't know about it yet. But anyway, so I'm all talked out now. So Marcus Conte reporting. Take you out. I'll take you out. Take you out with some fat boy beat.